So that's the kind of cocker you want. Anyways, so now we've done all the prep work. If you want to see all that, that's in a different video. You will find it in the list of videos. We are now on to the actual grooming part, and she's getting bored. We're on to the actual grooming part of the show cocker. And what I really want to tell anybody that's doing competition grooming in particular, all the pet people, you know, you can get your little own routine. That's fine too. But when we do competition grooming, we're focused on, we have 2 hours from this point, exactly 2 hours to get this dog done. Now we're not going to do a 2-hour video, don't panic. But that's our time for grooming competition. If you want to know more about that, just ask me questions or send me a message and I'll give you more information about that. But for grooming competitors, the main thing is get your routine. And for me, that's clipper work, and then stripping work, and then scissor work. You can do that. You can do your scissor work on this, guys, if you want to, just because, you know, this is your main scissor work down here. You could do that first if you wanted to. I used to do that when I was competing. I just met this dog today, and apparently she likes me. So you can do that if you want to. Feet used to be my absolute nemesis, so I would trim feet first a lot and then go back and do them again, just because I was notorious for finding hair and leaving hair on the bottom of the feet, and it drove me crazy. But at any rate, just if you're competitive grooming, 2 hours, get your routine. Decide what you're doing first, and then what you're doing after that, and what you're doing after that, and stick to it. Because the more you do that, the faster you will be, and then the more time you have at the end where you can go back and find little things that you missed that you're going to pick at and make more beautiful. So, at any rate, this is Mary, and we're going to do her clipper work first, which is my preference. It doesn't have to be your preference, it's just mine. And she's got lots of jowls and lots of cute square face, so we're going to do that first. And I'm going to use a 7-blade in reverse on her cheeks, which is roughly equivalent to a 10. And now Mama said she's still a puppy. She's only about 12 to 18 months old, if I remember correctly. So she can be a little bit squiggly. So if you see me being a little firm with her, that's on Mommy's orders, because she doesn't want her acting like a fool. So I'm going right to the corner of the eye and taking all of this stuff off. I like the 7 in reverse on their cheeks because it's smoother and it doesn't leave any lines. So that's why I do that. I'm probably going to take a 10 to her face because she's got a really nice face. But I like this in reverse because it comes out so nice and smooth that way when you get that hair backwards. And you don't get any lines. You can do a 10 reverse if you want to. If it's a pet dog and you want it to be shorter and you want it to last longer, you can do a 10 in reverse if you want to. But I prefer the 7 in reverse on the sides of the face just because it looks so nice. Okay, so now we'll switch to the 10 for here. Because I like her little face. It's pretty. And yeah, you have to stretch those little lips out so you can get all that stuff. all around the edge of the lips. Stretch it out. Put the edge of your clipper in there. Good girl. Tickle, tickle. Nice and smooth. Okay. That. She is not sure why he's got a camera in her face, but she's doing really good.
She is doing very good.
Okay, and this is a 10. Down to, see, these are really nice ears. Curls all the way down here. See where at the end of it, where it curls over?
Yes.
That's your line. Get all this stuff off underneath. She's like, stop. No, you stop. Now, when you're showing these guys or competing with these guys or whichever, you can have a straight line here, or you can have a V shape. It's either or is acceptable. Unless they've changed that in the last 5 or 6 years, either or is acceptable.
I will verify that and put it in the comments below. One way or the other.
Okay. So.
Or whoever's watching this that knows.
Yeah.
If you know 100% for sure,
let me know.
Changed, let us know.
But at any rate, what I was taught and when I was competing, you can do this straight across here, or you can do a V shape. Now I'm doing this 10 forward with the grain of the hair because it looks nicer. If you are showing and you know you want to get some of this done like the weekend before, you can do the 10 in reverse. And then it makes it a little bit naked. But by the time you get to the show the next weekend, it's grown out nice and you don't really have to do anything with it. So that's where the reverse clipping of the ears comes from. See how it makes it look a little naked? In a week, that'll all be filled in and you won't even notice it. So if you do that on the outside too.
And that's for the dog show people.
Right, not the grooming competitors. Grooming competitors, you don't want to do that because it's going to look naked and you're doing it right there and they're going to look at it right then. So that's why I do the 10 forward. So it looks nice and velvety and smooth, but not naked. Don't do that along the edge of the ear unless you're confident. You can do it with the scissors if you want. Now, we're going to take the 10 blade and come right along the edge of the eye and right over to the top of the ear on both sides. And then this will get blended in with the thinning shears. The next thing we want to do is we want to clip her right to the shoulder layback. Shoulder layback is here. And the reason we do that is because we want to elongate the neck and make the dog look shorter this way.
Shorter which way?
This way. Square. You want the dog to look square. So if you leave too much hair in here, it makes the dog look long. Right back to the shoulder layback. And that was a 7. If you got a really long dog, you can do it with a 10 because it makes it look a little bit shorter back. And that's your clipper work. To the stripping part, which everybody calls hand stripping, but it's really carding and mucking out and removing dead undercoat in order to make this other stuff that's on top. This stuff is what you want to save, this long stuff. So the more you remove the stuff that's underneath there, the flatter this lays. We're going to do just like we did in the tub. And see all that stuff?
Oh yeah.
And that's just 3 weeks. I believe 3 weeks since she's been stripped and shown. And I don't know how much of this, I don't know if they do this every week or if they do it every other week or whatnot. As long
You
as
don't know
the
what their
coat,
schedule
I don't know
is.
what the handler's schedule is. But you want all of this dead stuff gone. And see, if you start them when they're puppies, they're used to it. It actually feels good to them. You may even, at some point, you may see her stand up and kind of wriggle around because I think sometimes it feels like a massage to them because you're taking out all that dead undercoat stuff. I think it feels good. As long as you're grabbing that skin in front of where you're working and keeping it tight. That is the most important thing. And don't try to go down to the sides if they're sitting. Only do the main back part and then stand them up to do the rest of it if they insist on sitting. Because you'll mess up your skirt line if you do that with them sitting. But it brings up the shine and takes out all that dead stuff. Makes this other stuff lay down. And this is what we call carding. Stripping on a cocker. Keep that knife nice and flat. Basically you're combing the dog. If you just push down a little bit in short strokes, it pulls all that stuff out. Tons and tons and tons of it. They don't mind. If they're used to it and you do it all the time, they don't mind it. What I'm doing here is I'm just trying to blend the top of that shoulder a little bit where it was kind of bulky so it lays down. Take it off, baby. See how that made it lay all nice and down flat? But you're skimming right off the top of the rib cage here. And it's going to stick a little and make those little things just because you're getting into the longer hair. Don't continue to follow it down. Just stop where you want your line to be. So when you go down the side, just get to that point where it stops, where you're making your skirt. Because if you follow through, then you're going to take off all of this outside stuff. And you don't necessarily want to do that. You just want to blend this line here. Okay, so we have all of this stuff laying nice and flat, everything flowing off the side.
Oh, and now you're going all the way down to the sideline,
Yep.
but she's standing.
Yep.
Looks like you're almost using your arm as a guide.
No, I'm really using the top of her rib cage.
Okay.
And you can feel that under your knife as you go. As your knife starts to curve under, you know to stop.
Ah, okay.
Now this area here looks like where they've used some thinning shears when they were showing her. Can you see that?
Yes, I can see those
So we're gonna have
lines.
to,
I'm
we're gonna fix that.
One more time. Oh, and that'll take it right out, won't it?
Well,
So, I mean,
it's not gonna take it all out.
perfect, but
Because there's really no more undercoat there. So we're gonna have to take the thinners to that and fix it. But we're shaving her down with a 10 later. Don't panic. Anyways, but it looks like where, you know, she's had some thinning shear work or something done before, and it's just kind of...
Would they have done that to get it to lay down
Yes.
for a show?
Yes, that's what they do. So this is what we've got out of her back. Beveled cocker feet. It's really not that hard. Takes a little bit of know-how and a little bit of practice. So the first thing you do is the pad of the foot like we did earlier, and then you pull all of this hair through. You fluff the top. All off the bottom. All the way around the foot. Flat. Because this is all part of your bevel. Don't cut that all off yet. Okay. And then once you have that clean, and all that stuff off the bottom, comb everything down again. Go right flat around the outside of the foot. The foot down, do it again because there's tons of hair. Even if you don't get anything, go all the way around because you're gonna get something. Okay, so now we have that. Now we're gonna comb it all down and we're gonna do it again. But we're going to lift our curves up at a more of a little angle and go all the way around. Instead of flat, now we got an angle. Take your foot down again, comb it all out, get all that stuff out of the way. And do it again. Because now there's more hair. These guys have never-ending hair. Okay. And you can pick it up and look at the bottom and clean it up a little bit, but don't go up on the sides. Just clean up anything you see right off the bottom. Okay, and then I prefer a little bit of a kick out back here, which is this area right here. You don't want that all laying flat and dragging on the floor. So we pull it all down and I trim it off right flat with the bottom of the foot. And then some people go like this and they trim it. That doesn't work for me. I prefer to do it more like a poodle because I'm a poodle person. So I pick their foot up and I go around the back side like this with my curved shears. Okay, and then I just come back and clean up my little edge right there because you don't want an edge sticking out. So that's what I'm talking about right there. You don't want just all that hair just hanging on the floor. So thick. Get everything off the bottom. Now, these guys are show dogs, so they don't go in between the pads of their feet. They leave that fuzzy. You just trim off the bottom.
Is there a reason they do that?
Yeah, because they think it protects their feet, and because they're maintaining it all the time, it doesn't get matted. But on pet dogs, they don't do that. They let them go 6, 8, 10 weeks without trimming them, and they get all matted in there. So we shave them out. Okay, everything off the bottom. Set the foot down. Comb everything down. Go around the bottom of the foot flat. Pro tip, pick up the other foot if they don't want to stand on that foot you're working on. Okay, and then we go around again, and we're going to lift the scissor up at a little bit more of an angle. And then again, at a little bit more of an angle. And that's how you get the bevel. Okay, and then the underline comes from the back of this foot up to the center line and rolls back down to the front of this leg.
So you really didn't take anything
No,
at that
because
back
she's
leg.
she
'Cause
really
she's missing a little
she's
bit.
missing. She's falling asleep.
Yeah, we go. Yeah.
Okay, so she's missing a little bit of hair here because she's young and because she just came in season. So what I'm trying to show you is her tuck up is in her at the middle line just like any other breed, but on them it rolls up from the back of the front foot into the underline and back down to this front leg. Like so. That's what I'm trying to show you.
That's pretty good.
Okay? So the underline goes to the tuck up, which is about, she's falling asleep again. If we can keep her standing long enough, she's starting to fall asleep. The last rib is where the highest point of the underline should be. And that has to flow down into the back of this leg and into the front of this leg. So what I do is I go up like this, find that spot, and then back down to the back of the front leg.
Kelly.
This foot, follow this up to the highest point and back down.
Without her falling down. You're good.
To the back of the front leg. Don't get her to do that, please.